Hello, good evening. My name is Duwed Richard, and today I am going to demonstrate how to use a UNC12 probe. But before we begin, it's important to review the different parts of the instrument. So first, we'll start off with the blue area over here, and that would be the handle, followed by the area over here, which is our shank. And finally, at the very end, we have our working end. Now, an important part to make when doing probing is we are inserting the probe into the gingiva, and wherever it stops, that is the measurement that will be written down. So for instance, as we're probing, let's say around tooth number 8, and the probe stops at the very first black line, that means the probing depth was 1 millimeter. However, if it went slightly above the black line or anywhere above the black line in this area here, we would no longer count it as 1 millimeter. It would move to 2 millimeters. So let's go over to 4 millimeters. We're probing. It stops at 4 millimeter right here. It is 4 millimeters. However, if it stopped in this area over here, it would no longer be 4 millimeters. We would count it as 5 millimeters. So if you're probing and it stops on the black line, whatever measurement that is, whatever millimeter that is what we will write. However, if it goes above the black line into the other area past the black line, it will no longer be counted as that number millimeter. It would go to the following millimeter. So let's do that one more time. We're probing. It stops over here. We would not count it as 8 millimeters. It would automatically be put as 9 millimeters. There are indicators and contraindicators for use of this instrument. Let's review them. Indications would be recession, seen clinically and radiographically, lack of at-home care, which would include brushing and flossing, recurrent caries, restorations, lifestyle, example smoking, illnesses, an example would be diabetes, and medication. Contraindicators can be site of abscess, pus, newly erupted teeth, titanium implants, and maybe medication as well. Now that we are aware of the indications and contraindications for perioprobing, let's move on to holding the instrument, our grasp. Now, when you're holding the instrument, your index finger and your thumb are holding the shank like this. I'm sorry, are holding the handle, as you can see here. Now you're going to take your middle finger and place it on the shank. Then your ring finger will be your fulcrum finger. So it will be placed like this, on most likely an occlusal or incisal part of the tooth. And they will collapse on top of each other like this. Now, when you are probing, you must have a light grasp. You do not want to hold the instrument tightly. You want to hold it very lightly as you move it along. Okay. Okay, before we move on to our tamponnade, I have an image of a tooth to have an idea of what exactly will be done. So, when you are probing, you will start, and this is a molar. We are looking at, it seems to be our first molar. You will start at the distal line angle, which is right here. You will walk your probe distally, and then you will do a slight tilt, about 15 degrees, not too much, into the sulcus. And then you will walk back. And now you will go mesially. As you're doing so, make sure to note your depths. And then you will go mesially as well into the interproximal space. Again, you're not tilting too much, you're doing a slight tilt interproximally. Now, for the lingual surface, this area here, from the distal line angle to the mesial line angle, this is the area where you will take your measurement. The deepest depth is the one that you will use. And then you have your interproximal space. You will also take that measurement. So there's 3 measurements on the lingual and then 3 on the facial. When probing, there are a few things we need to take into consideration. 1. The probe is always angled towards the apex of the tooth, as so. 2. The probe is tilted away from the tooth so it can be angled into the sulcus. So if you notice, it's angled away from my tooth. It is not parallel to the tooth. Angled away from the tooth. 3. When probing interproximally, you tilt the probe 10 to 15 degrees into the cold space. That's so. So I am going to begin probing to show you how to put the probe into the cold space. Tilt ever so slightly into the cold space, as so, and then you walk back. Okay, let's begin probing quadrant number 1, tooth number 1, buccal surface, starting at the distal line angle. Turning in, we have a 5, walking back. Seems like we're having a 6, and this is a 7. Yeah, a little bit of calculus in the way. Rotating, got a number 8, walking back. Rotating, so we have a 4 and then a 5. A 6, walking back. Seems to be about an 8. Rotate in. That is definitely a 7. Let's get a little closer. Yep. Right here. About a 7, walking back. 7, and then we have a 10. We have about a 9, walking back. We have about a 6 and then a 9. Sorry, about a 10. Okay. Okay, now we've changed the position of the teeth of the tampon. Okay, so we're gonna start with the canine. We're going to go distal line angle, insert, walk, rotate a little. So for this one, we have a 9, walk it back. Okay, it looks like we had a bit of a 7, and now it's going to be a 9. Okay, now a lateral incisor. We have a bit of a 8, going back. 7 and an 11. Okay. Have a 7, walk it back up, keep your head straight. We're going with 6, rotate. This one again is an 8. Okay, so now we're entering the second quadrant. So our distal lying angle will be on this side. Okay, let us begin. Okay. We have an 8, 7, 8. Now turn his head just a little. We have a 10. Seems to be a 7. Followed by an 11. Turn his head slightly again. Nine, 8, 8. Okay, pause. Okay, now we're going on to the premolars. Seems around to be 12. That was an 8, followed by a 7. See if we can rotate his head a little bit more. But it won't. Have a 7. 8 and a 9. 8, 8, 10. Copy. Okay. Have about 8. 8 and another 8. Not exactly in the best positioning for his head, but we'll make it work. That looks like about a 7. 8. 6. And then we go over to 16. About a 5, 8, and we have a 7. Okay, now we're going to go to the lingual. Copy. Now we're moving on to the lingual, starting with tooth number 16. Again, from the distal line angle. We have a 6, 7, 6, 8, 7, 6. Sorry, that's a 7. 7, 8, 6, 6, 8, 7. Okay. 10, 6, 4. Okay. We'll start from the canine. Okay. Okay, so canine going distally. That is a 6. Nope, that is a 7. 6. That is a 7. Okay. We're going over to a 9. 7. And that is an 8. Distal line angle will be right here. We have an 8, 7, this is about a 4. Okay. We have a 7, 7, we have a 9. Okay. That's a 6. That would be an 8. Okay. Copy. We have a 7. Okay. 8. 7. That's a 6. 7. Oh, 11. 8. Because it's a tamponade, I'm at a weird angle, so try my best here. This is going to be a 6 and a 7. A 6. 6. 7. And we've made it to number 1. That is a 4. 6. 7. On to the mandible. Ball. Number 32. Buckle. We have 12. Staying at a 6. 5. Let's begin. Okay. That was a 5. Actually a 7. 7. 7. Now turn his head slightly. Oh boy, he's at an 11. That was a 7. That was a 5. Okay, his last premolar. Turn him slightly towards me. That is a 4. 5. 5. Okay, now I have to shift his head over. Yeah, let's look at the whole. So technically I would have used my mirror to get a better view. I might not need that. Okay. We have a 4. Actually, I will need my mirror. That looks like it is 11 followed by a 9. Okay. We have we have a 12. Eight. 9. 11. 8 followed by another 11. Ooh, some deep pockets. Now that we're entering a new quadrant, our distal angle will begin here. And of course, let's use the mirror to get a better idea of what our numbers are. We have a 9. Nine and an 11. We have a 10. Eight. 10. And our last anterior canine. We have a 9. Looks like a 7. 11. Okay, now we're going to move over to our posterior teeth. Oh, slippery. 8. 9. 8. 7. 8. We're missing our first molar, which is tooth number 19. So we're going to go over to tooth number 18, which is our second molar. We have a 8. Yeah. 8. 9. And our last buckle. That's a 10. 7. 8. Okay. Starting from tooth number 16. So we have a 7, walking it back. This is a 7. Nine. A 7. 9. Oh, let's start this one over. We have a 7. Actually, this is an 8 coming this way. Oh, slippery little gums here. We have a 5. Again, we're skipping tooth number 19 because it's missing, and we're going over to our second premolar, number 20. Let's move his head just a little bit. We have a 7, a 6, followed by a 7. We have a 7. Actually, that's a 6, sorry. A 6. And another 6. Now we're going to come over to the anterior. I'm going to put the patient facing me. Normally, the patient would be able to leave their mouth open. Weird angle. Okay, let's do this over. We have, from what I'm seeing here, a 9. Six. A 7. An 8. 7. 7. And now we're going to do our last anterior tooth in the third quadrant. That is an 8. We'll get back. That's a 7. That's also an 8. Now we're going to the fourth quadrant, anterior tooth. The distal line angle is in its different location. We have a 6, 7, 8. And we have a 7, 7, 7. 9. 7, 8. Now we're coming over to our posterior teeth. We will need a mirror for this. Okay. We have this. That's an 11. 7. That looks like it went into a 12. Nine. 8. 12. 9. 8. 12. Okay. Mm, 9. 8. 10. And our last tooth number 32, lingual.